I'm Eric.
I'm Nathan.
I'm Nathaniel.
And this is Coffee Unfiltered.
I'm going to turn an hourglass because that's how much time we have.
An hour-ish.
Let's begin. You guys remember 2017, maybe it's 2018. Yeah. Do you remember whenever we decided that we were going to go to Mars?
Like the human race?
like the human race, not movie stuff, but like, we're going to Mars.
I didn't know that was the thing that was decided at that point.
You remember, right? Like
I know that we've decided we're going to Mars. I don't remember the date.
It was a red letter day.
I remember the Martian. Does that count?
No. But
I would have assumed we would have had plans from earlier than that. Like,
you think so?
Earlier in 2017, I would have thought.
I think there was ambition. I don't know about plans.
Okay, so yeah, planning stage versus. Okay, so I think the answer to your question is no, we don't.
Okay. Well,
So,
I was just curious because like I'm thinking about it because there was that big deal where like the first female astronaut was chosen to go to Mars that like hit the news.
Oh.
Apparently you don't remember this, but
I thought we weren't going to like 2052.
So that's the big question.
So,
right?
How would they already pick someone?
So like I distinctly remember one person being chosen. I don't remember her name, but I remember like her picture, and she was chosen, and then they were gonna do like a vetting process for everyone else.
Yeah, this is like 30 years out. I don't think they're doing that.
Yeah, I don't know. So there was this project like Mars One is what it was called. Do you know about Mars One?
I think I've heard the name. That's about it.
Okay. So I did some research.
I'm resisting the urge to make a joke about Mars.
No, make all the jokes you want.
Well, they didn't lose. Sorry, keep going.
So Mars
One
1
is better than Mars 2.
Mars 1 like had this plan, this whole system of like what they were going to do by year, and like people were going to donate to the cause. And some of you out there may have donated to this cause. I did not, because I learned about it recently.
And also, you have no money.
Yeah,
there are better things to use your money for.
Yeah. Well, so they since went bankrupt. They were a Swedish company, and they went bankrupt.
This does not surprise me especially. Oh, so this was like a private enterprise. This was not like NASA decided.
No.
Oh, okay. So that's different. And I feel like I might have heard something about that.
So this was a private enterprise.
Okay.
And
they still got SpaceX.
What's SpaceX? Is that Elon Musk?
Elon Musk. Yeah.
So he said that he believes we'll be able to go to Mars in 4 years.
Okay.
Which, like, realistically, we can go to Mars now. Like, we can throw something Mars' direction now.
When we've been to Mars,
like difficult.
Robots.
Getting back will be difficult.
Yeah.
That's the problem.
It's not like you can just kind of set up a vacation home there.
No. So
terraforming. That's gonna happen.
Right.
One day.
So that's stuff I want to talk about. First, I want to talk about the idea. So Mars 1 had this plan where they were going to like send supplies ahead of time and wait.
So that sounds like what I know from the science of the Martian.
Okay. And then they were going to send rovers that they were going to control remotely.
Then they were going to call it Red Rover.
Yeah, Red Rover. That's what they were going to call it. Got it. And then they were going to have the rovers unpackage all of the cargo and set up the base.
Seems lazy.
So that when the crew gets there,
they don't have to.
They don't have to.
Seems lazy.
They don't have to. But I guess so. It's like they have somewhere to go.
I'm sure there's real reasons for it.
I mean, I think that's probably prudent. You want to make sure you have probably an excess of supplies in case something goes wrong.
It seems
it's
like
Mars,
maybe.
It seems like
so
there's a high degree of a lot of stuff that can go wrong.
Well, sure.
At this point, at this point, no humans are even there. Just at this point, supplies, but rovers unpackaged.
Well, there were many accidents in the factory with the rovers. They just kept playing games. Things got smashed.
I'm so glad you did.
Yeah. I don't know why I'm saying it again.
I know, I'm just so glad you did.
Well, yeah.
I'm so glad you're here.
I have mixed feelings about that.
That's good.
We'll keep them to yourself.
This is good coffee. You guys think this is good coffee?
I don't really have anything to judge it by.
It's good creamer.
Except for now that you reminded me, I'm going to drink it.
It's the name of the show.
I took one earlier.
That.
I'm on board. I don't know about him.
I don't have standards for coffee.
So they're gonna ship stuff out, and they're gonna do like test runs to get to Mars, and then they're gonna send out their supplies. This is Mars 1's plan. They since went bankrupt, so none of this is happening anymore.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Right, you think they're doing it secretly?
Yeah, I think they could be secretly sending stuff to Mars. Yeah.
I'm sure nobody would notice the rockets leaving.
Yeah, no one will notice. And then they were going to set up a satellite that would orbit Mars, so that it could record and take pictures of the surface of Mars.
So you could get cell phone signal.
So that we could communicate with people on Mars and they could communicate back.
Oh,
so they were going to bounce it through the satellite. That was actually their plan.
Okay.
Which I don't know, how does that work?
Well, there's no atmosphere, or not much of an atmosphere on Mars. I thought that was kind of important for like communication. Maybe it's laser communication.
I would think that would make it easier to communicate. The signal could go.
Well, no, because at least on Earth, with radio, at least they're bouncing it off the atmosphere a lot of times. But I think that might be. Well, that's shortwave and longwave radio.
We're talking about
then I guess you got satellites, and they use signals.
We're talking about interstellar communication.
Well, I don't know.
Completely different than radio.
Well, explain it to me, please.
I just did.
Oh, different. Got it. Okay.
Right. So, but what happens when? And I just don't know. What happens like we send a signal?
We do.
Yeah, as if you do before I ask the question. When like the satellite is behind Mars, but we're trying to.
Then we can't.
But that's what I mean. Like so, like there's this period of time where like we just can't hit the satellite.
Well, yeah,
right?
that happens with Earth too. And part of the
we
thing
have
that resolves it is the atmosphere, and also part of it is that it's just blacked out. And we
also have
200
satellites,
yeah.
right?
Well, I don't think there's a solution. Maybe they have two.
Maybe they're in orbit around each other.
They probably need a few more than two.
I mean, maybe. But, yeah. I'm concerned because your computer went silent, and I'm concerned your stream may have stopped.
It's okay, keep talking.
So, we're going to
it's probably just the screen.
play into a blank screen. It's going to be beautiful.
Absolutely
all the people
beautiful.
out there, this is the fourth wall break.
I think he's going to, we've already called it a show.
Oh.
But I think he's probably going to do something along the lines of prevent the screen from going to sleep.
Well, I would
for an
assume
extended period of time.
Yes.
So, back to Mars.
Plans.
Back to Mars. So,
not bankrupt then. So be careful about going back.
Yeah, that's a good point. So, satellites out there orbiting.
Yes.
We can or cannot communicate. All the supplies are there.
Okay.
2032.
Is that
we send Crew 1.
Okay. What do they do?
So this is my question. What does the crew do when they get to Mars?
Well, I'm sure first they're like, yeah! But then after that, they probably have things to do. Astronauts do science things, which I have no idea, and literally, like, my only insight into that is the book The Martian. So.
Well, they probably can do more digging than a robot can do. And they have to obviously first start by establishing a habitable location.
So they do that for a year.
A year?
They're there a year. 2032
wow,
they're there.
That is a long time.
And then 2033, I don't know, they report their findings or something. Then 2034, I remember this. Yeah,
there was lots of it.
2 years later, the second crew arrived.
Okay.
And then that's where Mars 1 ended their timeline.
Okay.
Because I guess they assumed, we get enough funding for this, we're doing well.
Sure.
They're not doing well.
So the second crew comes and they
2 years later.
the first, or they replace the first?
Didn't say.
Gotcha.
I would assume that Crew 1 would need to come back to Earth.
That would be my assumption too.
But I only say that because like the your bone density changes in space, right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I would think at that point they would want first.
Well, there's more gravity on Mars, so I think your bone density would improve.
There's more gravity.
There's less. What?
So there's more. So Mars is bigger than the Earth. So there's more. It's a heavier planet, right? So as opposed to being in space or on the moon, where there's no real gravity or pulling on your bones. On Mars, it's increased. So you feel heavier on Mars. Your body has more stress on Mars. And so I would assume that...
Is that true?
Yeah, I'm not sure about that one.
I only ask because every movie I've ever seen, people jump for it.
On Mars? Maybe, well, okay.
Wouldn't they jump
If it's
less?
a bigger planet...
There's less of an atmosphere, though.
There is less of an atmosphere, but the primary thing keeping us on the ground is not air, even though that does have an influence, I think. It's gravity.
Well, gravity aside, though, I think...
But you can't
Can we get
just
some
put
fact checking in the
gravity
comments below,
aside.
please?
Regardless of
Gravity sucks.
gravity, the other reason you'd want to bring people home, though, is social isolation.
Well, sure, I'm not saying you wouldn't want to bring them home.
Well, I think
I'm
they're
just saying in
really
terms of bone density.
I think they were going to essentially set up a colony.
Yeah,
Like,
but,
it's a fairly large group.
I mean, but the first ship isn't going to have more than probably 20
That's going to be awkward if you're the first Mars baby.
It's probably going to have like 10 people at most.
You think 10? I was thinking like 30.
For the first crew?
I'd be optimistic. There's how many
What
billions
is
of
it?
us? What's 30?
Well, I don't think it's functioning as a percentage of the human population.
You're still going to be isolated from most of your family, most of your friends.
Well, sure, it
It's
probably
not going
would
to be a
rough.
permanent home anytime soon.
Do you think there's the risk of going insane?
Yeah.
If you just sit there in your small colony?
I mean, there's the risk.
Yeah,
of
that's
down
what I'm
on
talking
Earth.
about. I'm talking about psychological issues, but I mean, these are serious things. Even if they go through all the psych profiles and get approved, you still need human interaction.
Well, you'd have some, but yeah, I don't know. So, I mean, you've got scientists and stuff in like isolated bases on Earth, and people doing stuff, but they do tend to have rotations.
Right. So like say Antarctica, for example.
Yeah.
With the isolation, I think would be a good comparison. There's like 6 people out there, right? Or 13. Like, no, there's not big groups. But they're only out there
At least 2.
for like 6 months, maybe a couple years.
Yeah,
And then
exactly. And then they go home.
Also, it's super cold down there.
It is.
So.
But Mars is a 7-month trip.
Yeah.
So even if it's like, hey, time to rotate out,
Mm-hmm.
you have 7 months before you're back to Earth.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. It would make sense to me that they would, but I feel like you could sign on for the long haul if there was a plan to like get people colonizing. Although I feel like colonizing is probably not the right word. Have you read the series like Red Mars, Green Mars, Blue Mars? So it basically goes through. It's science fiction, but it's grounded science fiction. It's hard science fiction, and so it goes through kind of the steps of terraforming and colonizing Mars. I read through the first book, and then, man, it's like a yawn. Drinking coffee is like yawning because when you see it, you want to do it.
That's right. It's exactly like that.
But,
That's why Starbucks does so well.
That's right.
People drive down the road and they're like,
Because people are yawning.
they're drinking coffee. I want to drink coffee.
Well, it doesn't work quite as well when you're not like in the moment. But sure.
Well, you know, the Martian, supposedly all the technology shown in that movie and in the book that it's based on is either currently available or is like within 10 years it's going to be available.
That makes sense, except maybe the portable nuclear reactor. Although that wasn't really a reactor, it was just like a heat generator or something.
Yeah. But anyway, it's based on realistic technology.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense to me. That we have the tech to get there, even if we haven't really prioritized it. But, I lost track of what I was saying.
The books.
Yeah.
Mars,
I don't remember who wrote them, and they're fairly well known in like sci-fi circles, from my understanding. I didn't particularly enjoy them because the story and like philosophy and story kind of got weaved together, and they were just a little bit like I wasn't into the science part of it enough, where the story was kind of boring. And like it was a very philosophical story, and unless those are really interesting, it just wasn't that interesting to me. But it was fascinating.
Do you normally read sci-fi?
I do read a fair amount of sci-fi, or I have, but not necessarily a lot of hard sci-fi. I have read a lot of like Isaac Asimov and.
I know you were reading The Expanse for a while.
Yeah, if you're wanting a good sci-fi featuring Martians and Mars, The Expanse is really good.
Okay.
The TV show is also good, but the books are also excellent.
What's the basic plot of that? You said there are Martians.
Yeah, so it's kind of like, well, it evolves as the series goes on, but the basic.
There may be
premise-
spoilers. I hope not, but there may be spoilers. Just a warning.
I'll try to avoid spoilers, but the basic premise is there's 3 different factions. There's Earthlings, Earthers. I think Earthers is what they call them.
Okay.
Martians and Belchers, which are
Like asteroid belt. Are these all humans?
Yeah, they're all
Okay.
humans. Though they have adapted in different ways.
Debatably.
They've all adapted in different
Gotcha.
ways based on where they live. Like Belchers
Okay.
can't actually live on Earth because
Right,
they're not
because
used to
bone
gravity. Yeah, exactly. And both density. But anyway, it's basically the conflict between those 3. And then there's like a underlying threat that they have to uncover. But there's always the tension.
Is it like hard sci-fi where everything is as realistic as it could be, or is it like?
Oh yeah, they
Okay.
try and be realistic.
Does it say what year it is?
I think they do. I don't remember.
I mean, obviously it's very futuristic.
Yeah, but it's only like I think maybe 300 years in the future or something like that.
Do you think it's a possibility that could be life in 300 years?
I mean, it's as realistic a possibility as I think it could be.
My thing about that is, like, I think people could do most of that stuff, but I don't think it would be efficient. Like, getting it to the point where it's an optimal way to live, or where people are like, oh yeah, I think it would be better to live in the asteroid belt than on Earth. Like,
something has to be seriously wrong on Earth.
Well, sure.
Well, I
Or the
think they're
population,
also have
even if it's just population.
Well,
resources.
Sure, yeah. I mean, there is that possibility, but even.
But if we're moving towards like solar power, what other resources is the problem? We have water and food.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Solar
There have to
power
be
isn't
reasons.
free. Like, solar power takes.
But we're not destroying the sun to do it.
Well, no. But I'm saying, like, the
Well,
resources.
what I mean is like the sun's going to be there. We're not going. It's not like fossil fuels, right?
For a few
Right.
more million years.
But it's not like fossil fuels where we will run out of fossil.
Well, sure, eventually,
But
yeah.
we won't run out of the sun until the sun decides I'm done.
Yeah, but we might run out of materials to make solar panels or maintain them.
Someone just has to come out with a cold fusion technology that's renewable.
I just find that a pot of water, if you put it in the sun, it boils. Boiling water, you can do a lot with it.
Okay.
Like make coffee.
Like,
Segway.
So the crew's on Mars, right?
Yes.
We would assume that the first few crews are there to make Mars inhabitable.
I feel like it would take a lot more than just a few crews to do that.
And so this is my question.
You mean like without having suits on and everything?
No, well, I assume they're trying to make like an ecodome because there's no atmosphere,
Bubble City.
and we can't make an atmosphere.
Well, yeah, that could.
And
be
even
done
if we
within
can,
a few trips,
it's going to take a
everything.
while.
Well,
But
it's
I
not.
assume they're going
I
to
mean,
make
that's the premise of what I was talking about.
was making an atmosphere
Yeah, making an atmosphere. But they started off with
with an ecodome.
ecodomes.
So then this is my question. What happens here?
Bubble City.
So we can draw a decent amount of water from ocean, filter it, the ground, filter it, rain, sometimes filter it depending on the pollution in it. On Mars, unless I'm mistaken, you don't really have rain.
I thought there was a lot of. I thought there were polar ice caps on Mars, and also potentially
Oh, I think there are.
subterranean.
There is
waters.
ice, but it may or may not be like some of it may be
Potable.
water, but some of it's also not.
So the ground only has 2% water in it.
Okay.
Based on my research.
I'm thinking of milk. Only 2%.
Only 2%.
This is the healthiest ground you
Yeah.
can find. Only 2% water.
So how much, like, you can't draw a lot out of the water. I would assume our soil has much more than 2%.
Maybe.
So, like, plants can't grow that well with that little water. So,
Plus, I don't think the composition. Again, basically, like all of my things that I'm saying here come from Martian, but
no, it's fine.
the composition of Mars, I thought the soil was not good for growing plants anyway.
And so, like, that's another concern. So, like, we create this biodome, we have to send dirt, soil, and we have to send water to make it happen.
Okay.
My concern is...
Water doesn't really get consumed. I mean, it does. It gets recycled. So
But how well is it going to get recycled in a dome? Because normally we go through the cycle,
We'll
right?
have to
I
make
would think
filtration
really well in a
systems.
dome because you control most aspects of it.
I would think some of the technology would also be there from the ISS.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, that would make sense. So this is my concern, and this is all hypothetical.
Is this your concern?
assuming Mars 1 makes it to
You
Mars.
wake up at night thinking,
Yeah.
what will they do for water?
Yeah, this is what I lose.
I think we're relying on Mars 2.
Yeah, Mars 2. So Mars 5 is there. Mars 6. Presumably, the colony's growing at this point. Mars 6, 7.
Sure. I feel
Year
like
2046.
it would still be really limited, really scientifically based, and it would just still be people accomplishing tasks.
Yeah, I don't know that there would be permanent residents anytime soon.
It's fine. 20.
Okay, sorry.
100.
Continue with the point.
Unless we can find a way to filter the water or make sure that the ice from Mars itself is usable. As the colony grows, they need more resources.
Sure.
Well, there's also the possibility there might be liquid water beneath the surface. So I imagine they would be looking for that.
So my concern is, and of course they're going to be looking for that. We have to keep sending them stuff.
Yeah.
But we only have so much water.
This is a
Well, there's
concern.
this thing.
No, but like seriously, like.
How much water do you think we're going to be sending them?
Yeah,
It's 200 people. We have depleted the Earth's reserves
but-
for these 200 people.
No, hear me out. But you also need water for all the plants and all that. But you
Yeah.
would presume if we hit Mars with this, we're gonna hit other places with the colony.
Just take Rhode Island's water. That'll
Okay.
be fine.
I don't
Yeah.
think we're roasting running out of water, especially because they can use ocean water. They just desalinate it.
But isn't there a concern where in 100 years, if we're on 4 different planets that we've had to ship water to, that we're going to slowly deplete our water
Well, they'll have
supply?
to find their own sources.
I don't think so.
Like in the expanse.
I think by the point
I should have gotten more sleep last night.
I think by the point that we have
This
And
should
a-
not have kept me up,
an
apparently.
appreciable population on any other planet, there's going to be you could even at a really energy inefficient level, you could make water. H2O.
Well, yeah, okay, yeah.
I'm just saying,
yeah. So you could, in a lab,
I mean, I'm just saying it's not efficient at all. But if it was really that desperate, you could make water.
Well, like in the expanse.
But then I know where would the atoms come from?
they would have to come up with independent sources of water. But for instance, in the expanse, they have people in the belt that are essentially
Mining water.
from asteroids.
Well, and you've got the water collectors on Tatooine.
Right. Very good observation.
So
As long as we can get those power converters from Tosche Station.
let me throw this at you. The Black Death.
Don't throw that at me.
Throw it at
I
us.
don't want it.
A left turn.
So there's this theory, because we don't really know where it came from.
Okay.
There's a theory that
Oh no. It came from dogs.
We've got a visitor.
Fleas and
we got a
dogs.
visitor.
Dogs and fleas.
We knew it was going to happen at some point.
So there's this theory that around the same time that the Black Death started,
They were aliens.
an asteroid
I'm sure there was a theory.
hit,
So
hit,
go
hit
ahead.
the Earth, and we know an asteroid hit the Earth.
Okay.
And so then the theory is that there was bacteria
Seems unlikely.
on the asteroid, and the reason it took us so long to defeat it wasn't because our medicine wasn't very good,
I mean, it wasn't very good.
but it was because our bodies were not used to the bacteria that was living outside of Earth.
That seems unlikely.
Do you know that
You think so?
You know that
Well-
meme where someone says something questionable and it's just like a picture of the option doubt in a game? That's me.
Well,
Look, I'm just trying to
doubt.
say aliens.
Yeah, I know. You need bigger hair to say
Yeah,
it was alien.
Alien.
Yeah. But let's put it this way. It's mathematically basically impossible for that to be the case.
How was that?
The chances of any protein being randomly developed are 10 to the 77th power.
You also talk about random.
but it's still there. There's still that chance. Like, what's the chance that life happens on Earth?
Well, that's
No, it's
basically
not about random.
by random chance. It's a miracle, basically.
So why can't we just keep striking gold on these chance rolls and get this asteroid with bacteria on it?
We've
done it once. If you believe
sure,
the
if
statistic.
you believe that, I'm just gonna say, like, statistically, it's impossible.
Impossible or highly improbable?
To the point where it's indistinguishable. Let's put it this way: the number of organisms on Earth is 10 to the 44th power, like in all of its history.
So the idea that there could be bacteria on these asteroids that we're trying to mine water from is unlikely.
I should say there's that bacteria that came from somewhere.
We wouldn't just drink the
random
water.
besides-
Without
No, we're not going
testing.
to drink the water, but we didn't drink the water from the asteroid either. Maybe it just
Well,
went in the air.
see,
But if we're taking this back to the colony, there's
Yeah,
a chance
as far
that
as
at
the
the colony something would happen.
Yeah, one of the things about going to Mars is that we think there is water on Mars, but you're concerned about
We
bacteria.
found water.
Well,
There's
I mean,
2% in the soil. We know it's water.
well, not just 2% of the soil, but also like the floor ice caps, and we
Right.
thought there was underground
But
water.
there could
But
be
you're
something
concerned there could
highly dangerous in that water.
I
too.
mean, yes,
That's why you would test it.
and you
Yes.
would boil it first.
Okay, boil it out.
Boiling is what you
would
typically do
want
for
to
any
test
water.
it more than just
I just picture somebody like picking up a chunk of ice, going inside, like taking off their helmet, and be like, "Rah, this is good ice."
Yeah, I would hope they would not do that. It's dry ice.
It was dry.
Death.
I just like
The
that.
white. That's
That
the
seems
white
like
death.
to me. That's I laugh at that theory. The Black Death. I don't laugh at the Black Death. Maybe.
They also had horrible cleanliness standards. They had no
Well, they did.
understanding of.
They did. That's true. I mean, I'm not trying to say that it'll happen again. I think like if an outbreak like that happens, we can take care of it.
But
There
you
are
were
only
just
two
going to
samples
the
of
theory.
Black Plague.
You were just going to the theory of the asteroid and bacteria.
Exactly.
Which
And
seems
that's
unlikely.
one asteroid out of however many
Sure.
are out there. But I guess asteroids hit us all the time, and
Yeah.
we don't have outbreaks of bacteria, unless that's how they all start.
I mean,
That's right. It's
I mean that's how we
because
got venom.
Smallpox, big pox.
That's right. I get it.
I mean, the only way Black Plague comes back is if someone steals the one or two samples that are still existing.
Yeah,
Here's
but move past Black Plague. And
Here's hoping.
I can't move
We'll make
past
like
the Black Plague.
Death Plague and Purple Plague, whatever. Like if there's more bacteria on those asteroids out there.
I think it's much more likely that someone would engineer a plague than that we would get a plague.
Well,
from
Also, I
asteroids.
think it's much more
Yeah,
likely that
I mean,
there
they
would be
were
a
doing
large
that
enough asteroid that it would just kill the planet rather than that bacteria on an asteroid.
So that I guess like that might be another concern. Like, if we're mining asteroids, we are messing with their mass.
Sure.
Is that going to mess up their orbit?
The
But they're
asteroids?
already in established orbits.
So you would mine
So
the
I
entire
wouldn't think
asteroid.
So you just get rid of that asteroid? The whole thing? It's gone?
Well, I mean, I guess if it's completely made of ice.
So I mean, I just don't know.
I don't either.
I mean, all of this is theoretical.
I feel like though, if you're the thing is again, like they're already in established orbits, so I wouldn't think that unless you're like hopping on one that's going through the system.
Well, but like,
you're like,
"Wee-yah!" So the orbit, like they're floating around something,
yeah,
and something's keeping them in pull.
Yeah.
I would assume based on their mass.
I guess I should probably know more about how gravity works on things. But basically, it's perpetually falling and stuff.
But if you mess with the mass, don't want to mess with the orbit.
Maybe
Why would we care about the orbit of one asteroid?
because if it crashes into the colony, bye
Or
colony.
crashes into something.
But I feel like if we're out there already messing with it, we probably have a handle on it. I didn't even mean to make the pun. It just came.
We'll just hold it in place. We'll just hold it in place is what you're saying.
Well, no, I mean, like,
No,
if
we got
we're
the handle.
messing with it, we would presumably have an idea of what we're doing. Maybe.
Well, maybe.
You know,
So,
like, I feel like we would be meticulously planning most of what's happening, in this circumstance.
theoretically.
Well, like in The Expanse, the Belters, they have like particular asteroids that they're on, and they've engineered them to spin so that they have a similar gravity.
Okay.
So they're on the inside of the asteroid.
Well, they're like on the surface of it,
But we're talking like a huge asteroid.
Yeah. And within the
but since they mined it, they spin it.
But
they give it
established cities there, and they've managed to get to spin. So you
those
just
are
walk
gigantic.
around, just walk around like on Earth.
I feel
Yeah,
like
have you seen Armageddon? There's some big asteroids out there, man.
Armageddon. That's been long.
Deep Impact.
Oh my goodness.
Another one.
I feel like what was Deep Impact about besides the end of the world? Like who was
it? Was the actual one.
Who was
Armageddon was also the actual one.
I think
Frodo
Frodo
was
in
Frodo.
Elijah Wood.
Yes.
Frodo is in it.
Yeah.
He was like, guys, I got the ring.
We got this
We're
covered.
good.
We just made the Earth invisible.
So,
Speaking of spoilers, disclaimer: I haven't actually seen Deep Impact.
what? Oh, okay.
But
Maybe I
basically, the
shouldn't-
premise is the asteroid is inevitable. We can't do stupid sci-fi crap like Armageddon did.
Well, yeah, I mean that makes sense.
And so they have like a lottery
That was
for
a great
people to go beneath the Earth or into bunkers
I
to
don't know if that
survive.
would actually save people.
oh, that's
And it like more or less ends with the asteroid hitting. Like right on the surface, die.
I mean, that's a cool idea. And I know a lot of movies, they just take a premise and they say, okay, what if this?
Oh, yeah.
But I feel like if there's a lottery to decide who goes into the Earth, then the asteroid's coming. People aren't going to care about that lottery.
Maybe not, but it's also
Yeah,
You know what I mean? Like
just-
when that asteroid's coming, like they're going for the bunker.
Yeah,
it's also
that's
a
why
much
you
more,
build good bunkers.
I guess. Yeah.
it's also a much more philosophical movie though.
Sure, and I'm sure that's what I mean. Like it was a what if this. So on Mars, back to Mars, we're out there. Crew 1, Mars 1 has landed. Presumably they're there to terraform, begin the terraformation.
Sure.
I don't think they would be terraforming on day one.
No, like they're
For the
2 years
first
that they're there.
crew.
Guys, even then, I don't
No,
think
they're
they'd
not
be
terraforming. They're establishing habitable domes.
So-
Terraforming would be hundreds
Based on
of
my
years.
vast knowledge of this, he was right.
I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it would be hundreds of years before.
All right. Crew 10.
Sure.
Crew 35. It doesn't matter. My point is, whatever crew is there, I think there's this hype going on this 7-month journey that they're like, yeah, we're going to Mars. We're going to do this thing. We're going to get there, and it's going to be awesome.
It's probably a bit of a letdown when they actually get there.
Or they start. I think there would be a
Well,
letdown.
there's probably like an excitement, and
Well,
then
they would have to be let down.
that sounds like a joke I made. You're way too happy about that one.
His reaction made it good.
It's too on the nose.
So it's very on the nose on that. So you get there, you start doing the thing, and you start doing the job, and you're like, yeah, all for humanity, life's great. 6 months into this thing, you gotta be bored. You know?
Could be, depending on the person.
Like, how many of us have started a job, and you start out, and you're like, oh, this is really good, and 6 months into this thing, you're like, okay.
Well, you would bring hobby stuff.
You bring a book.
Yeah, just bring a book.
Maybe two.
Movies.
Maybe two.
They would have some way to beam stuff from Earth too.
So you gotta think, like the reality of the situation starts to set in. You're 7 months from home.
Well,
Well,
sure.
this is all stuff that they're
Again,
working
that's
on now.
psychological stuff. Like,
Because they've simulated stuff like this, like in Hawaii or the desert. Or places like
I mean,
that.
when
How
I was
long
on
is
submarine
simulation?
for a
Is
year,
simulation
that
6
was
months?
I mean, they're months at a time.
Really? But they know it's simulation. So they also know this is going to end, I'm going to be home.
Right,
You're
but I
there
mean,
for 2 years.
But I mean, you would also
I-
know that Mars is going to end here eventually.
I feel like it would be we've dealt with this kind of thing before, and you have to have specific types of people who can handle that. And some people can't, and some people can.
Yep.
So some people are for Mars,
All people are equal.
not for Mars.
But not for Mars. I will not. I
All
will be
people
going to Mars.
are equal, but some are more equal.
Right, Animal Farm.
Thank you, George Orwell.
I don't think I'll be going to
I don't think you're going to be going to Mars either.
I don't think I'll be.
Especially considering the project was bankrupted.
Yeah.
I think we'll all be too old by the time it actually happens.
No, SpaceX, 4 years.
To Mars?
To Mars.
I'll believe it when I
SpaceX.
see it.
Elon Musk.
Well,
2019,
just
he
say
said that.
theoretically it can happen in 4 years.
I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to go to Mars.
I don't want to go.
So
Maybe like Crew 40, when there's like Like there's something there.
Maybe once
I wouldn't
Mars.
be on crew 1. Crew 1 would not be a
Not
fun
to mention, they wouldn't want you.
Yeah, I'm not going to pass the test.
It's like, what science things can you bring to the table?
They're like, hey, what can you bring? I'm like, hey, I'm worried about the water
stream
supply.
our progress.
I'm worried about supply on Earth. Water.
I'm going to make sure we don't take too much.
Yeah. Like,
I'll be the water rationing person.
Yeah, they'll be like, this kid has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah.
Once Mars tourism becomes a thing, then I would think about it.
7 months. I don't even want to take like one day to go anywhere. 7 months.
By that point, they will have invented light speed technology.
Oh, sure,
like
yeah.
A few minutes.
I'm sure that's
for seconds.
Thing.
But how were they traveling in the Expanse?
They were traveling by ship, but they had So one of the conceits of the show is that they had developed a special type of engine fusion reactor that was basically allowed for renewable fuel that didn't require like gasoline or.
How fast did it go? Did it say? I mean, was it going light speed or?
No. It was it was also based on the idea that like if you go too fast, it'll like crush you.
Do they have cryo sleep?
They could only go so fast.
Okay.
Do they have cryo sleep?
No. Interesting. They would like have like give me the juice whenever they needed to go faster, so that their bodies would be able to handle the speed better.
Did you guys? Have any of y'all read the Foundation series? Not the Foundation series. The 3 Body Problem.
No.
It's by a Chinese sci-fi writer, and it's like 4 books.
Do you read a lot of Chinese sci-fi?
No.
Okay.
It was really widely acclaimed, and it was a hard sci-fi. But it also had an element of like, what would happen to society if there were aliens, and like what would be potential issues with there being aliens.
Aliens out there or aliens on Earth?
Aliens out there. And like it was an interesting series and pretty cool, but the last book to me it didn't ruin it, it just was a poor payoff. But anyway, they had ships that basically would fill up with fluid. Like the chambers would fill up with fluid when they were going to go really fast, and like it was like they would like fill your lungs and stuff, like it was breathable fluid and stuff. And I think you would put most people to sleep or something like that. But anyway, that's one of the ways they compensated for really fast speeds.
It kept your body under regulation.
Yeah, like it regulated the pressure on your body, which was kind of
interesting.
Yeah. And there is actually breathable fluid that can go into your lungs, which is pretty crazy. Like deep sea divers, if I'm right to use it. Director makes lots of crazy movies. He made I want to say The Abyss or like The Sphere. Who made The Sphere? No. Michael Fassbender was in it, I think. No, not him. Who's in The Rock? Who is the
Sean Connery?
He's the person who's in The Rock. Yes. Who is the big antagonist in The Rock? You know his face, right? Like
I've seen The Rock one time, like 10 years ago.
Well, anyway, that guy, he had a scene where he was doing that. He was breathing through
All right.
That's the thing. Anyway, liquid that you can breathe, like oxygenated liquid or something like that is, I believe, is a thing.
Okay.
And that's pretty crazy. So,
okay.
That's a tech that exists.
Okay.
In sci-fi. No, not just in sci-fi. Like in real life.
What?
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. So that's a thing. I just killed all conversation.
No, it's okay. I'm trying to make sure the doggy doesn't drink the coffee.
Yeah. Now we're liquid coffee that you can breathe through. That would be weird. Get pumped up and breathe underwater. I mean,
that's it. That's the next Starbucks drink. They just inject it into your lungs. It seems like you would go blood, but straight into the lungs.
Painful.
Yeah, but think about that rush.
That's my goal, the rush. Woo!
So I think all three of us here read a decent.
Yes.
A decent.
I say yes, not no.
Well, I know you read. I read. Do you guys prefer? I don't read sci-fi.
Mm-hmm.
I've read maybe a sci-fi book. I don't like sci-fi very much. I don't like reading. Do you prefer hard science or soft science?
I like space opera more than hard science generally.
What would you describe as space opera?
Bukowskian. Have you heard of Lewis Master Visual? She had like a 13-book series.
Is it the length that makes it opera?
No.
Yeah. So what would you just define as space opera?
So Star Wars was a space opera. At least the original was. But it's basically you could take all the sci-fi out of it and you'd still have the story and it would hopefully be good. Although you could say that about lots of things. But
whereas The Expanse is based on this science. Like if you take the science out,
it still has space opera aspects to it. But yeah, I mean it's definitely rooted in science ideas.
Okay. Yeah, like a lot of.
I mean, Star Wars kind of is too. Like everyone flies around spaceships and planets.
Well, that's a thing. But the science of it is not very. So
I see.
And
yeah,
also
because there's not. It doesn't have real science explanations. I mean, it does, but not really.
Sure. Yeah, and a lot of early sci-fi wasn't even like. There was a lot of there was like hard sci-fi. There was also like sci-fi as philosophy, where basically it was like exploring what happens to humanity when X happens, or when computers become this powerful, or and so a lot of it wasn't even so much about exploring science, but some of it was. It just depends on the author. But
1 second.
Yeah.
You guys keep chatting. I'm going to.
That's a thing.
Get the dog.
But yeah.
The thing, so even in like realistic sci-fi, there's still certain things you don't explain.
Well, sure, because if we could explain everything, then for the most part it wouldn't be sci-fi. It would just be now.
Well, I mean, like in The Expanse, they don't explain how the renewable energy works. They just does.
But yeah, in general, I like more fantastical sci-fi. I've read a reasonable amount, not a ton, of hard sci-fi, and it always just left me a little cold for the most part. Like it was interesting, but then I kind of got bored of it.
Space is a pretty cool place.
So this is another talk point, and then we can move on to a different topic. So we scientists think 90 to 95% of the ocean has been unexplored.
Okay.
We've explored 5 to 10% of this.
Sure.
We haven't gone very far into the Earth itself. Of course, we also know there's like magma and stuff below the crust, so we're not exactly trying real hard to go into magma.
Yeah. It's the final frontier.
The final frontier. So, I guess my question is, whenever there's so much more, and we find new species all the time that have gone extinct or that are still alive or hidden.
Hey,
you're in the ocean too.
Yeah, and so when there's still so much left of Earth to explore, what do you guys think is the fascination with going into space?
It doesn't capture the imagination the way space does.
And that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, you can go outside and look up and say, I want to go there.
And also to a limited ability.
Most times you'll go to the ocean and say, I want to go down in there.
Yeah.
As far as
That's
I can.
true, yeah. Like, you can see the stars, you can't see the depths of the ocean. And also, I feel like you have a limited ability to explore the ocean no matter who you are without extra stuff. And obviously, to get to places we haven't been or deep down, like, yes, you need more technology. But, like, for space, you have to, like, there's a certain point where you cannot explore space without getting to this point. I'm saying
so it's like, no, I get it. It's like, it's almost like an achievement of we can do this.
Yeah.
Whereas like we built submarines.
Yeah, like people know more about, or people feel like they know more about the ocean. And also the ocean just seems so featureless to people who aren't particularly.
Do you think it's also because in space there's so much that we just don't know? Like the ocean, you can research, you can find answers, but even science is sometimes space we don't know yet.
Could be, and also
so
like
still
the
that
laws.
mystery.
Yeah, the laws seem like they're different in space.
Well, they are.
There's
like
gravity
gravity.
with us. Like you're not. Yeah, Whereas in the ocean, it's like, well, I'm still being crushed.
Well, yeah. So I think in some ways it's more practical to go to space than the deep ocean because of the pressure concerns. And I think there's also this fascination or obsession with finding life on other planets. We know there's life in the ocean,
Well, we do want to find the kaijus.
but we want to know if there's life elsewhere.
Oh, dog.
Oh, dog.
Oh, to be a dog. And find interest in every trash can.
Must be nice.
Do you think there's the fear that if we don't go to space, that humanity will come to an end?
I think that's a fringe belief. I'm not concerned about it, but
Did you say a French food?
fringe.
Oh,
Yeah, French. The French are very concerned about
I was
this.
like, I've never heard the French talk about it.
French.
You probably haven't heard much about it because they speak in French. And so
Well, there is that.
That's true.
That's probably all they've been talking about, and I just haven't understood it. Yeah, I mean, I feel like probably some people believe that. I don't. Also, Star Trek said space was the final frontier. So it's hard to overcome a catchline like that catchphrase like that.
Yeah.
A motto like that. What do you call that?
Slogan? Phrase? Motto?
I like slogan.
Slogan?
Well, it's also something, I think, practically speaking, space exploration drives innovation for people that are just going to stay on Earth.
I mean, you could probably say the same thing about if there was undersea exploration, it would probably drive things.
Yeah, but it's in different ways.
Do you think some of it goes back to the space race?
I mean, could be.
Because it wasn't the ocean race.
Well, also, I will say, like, agreeing with what you said, the fact that we have, like, all the satellites and stuff, like, we've gotten really tangible, amazing benefits from the space race. And I don't know, we may have gotten ones from...
Assuming we went to space.
Well, sure. I didn't say from being in space, from the space race.
Oh, okay.
The race.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm teasing. I think we went to space.
I do too. I heard a good line.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yes. Well, I heard a good line, which was like, okay, in terms of what we can say with confidence, nobody can say for sure we didn't go. Although people can also say for sure they don't. Nobody, like most people, can't say that they know that we went. Like okay, let me clarify. In terms of what you personally know, like in terms of what I personally know,
right?
So
I
so
can't
you
say
have
that
to rely on other people's information, and there's a lot. Like if you were gonna find something to give to a conspiracy theorist and be like, hey, let's find something where there's a lot of weird inconsistencies. This is a thing that you could give to somebody and have them go crazy. But I do think we went to space.
But the ultimate end there would be, I don't know if we did.
Well, sure.
But I can't say definitively that we did it.
Well, yeah.
Well, the most compelling argument I've heard that's pretty definitive, I think, is that whenever they went to the moon, they put reflectors.
And they shoot it with a laser. They shoot the reflector with a laser
that you can see from Earth.
Oh, okay.
So
I know they also put reflectors in, like they have a laser they can shoot and it bounces back.
I don't know about that.
Yeah, they did.
Because
they did on Mythbusters.
Like reflective panels that you can see.
Right.
That's cool.
That's super cool.
Well, that's pretty cool. Yeah.
So definitive answer. Like,
so that's pretty.
That
does seem like it's pretty. Well, everything's reflective. Wow. Have you seen the sun bouncing off the moon?
I mean, if we didn't go
Miles.
to the moon, that means we sent rockets to the moon that left us behind somehow. So I mean, it's basically the same difference.
Well, there is a difference in sending a man. Well, there's that.
Or aliens.
Yeah, I question the sanity of people that are more willing to believe aliens than that we went to the moon.
I don't question their sanity. I don't question their sense of fun. My brain's not actually getting this to a point.
No, you're doing great. Please keep it up.
No,
I'm really curious.
I just think they're probably more fun than most other people.
You're just trying to be contrarian, aren't you?
Trying.
Contrarian? Succeeding.
What are you talking about there? No.
Exactly. Thank you for proving my point.
That was. Yes.
Okay, well, if my guess of sand is correct, we have maybe 20 minutes left.
You are a god among men.
You guys have some talking points? If not, I
It's pretty good.
can stay on my concerns for space all day. I just didn't know if you guys have anything else you want to talk about.
You said entertainment, right?
Yeah, we can talk entertainment. Yeah.
I like being entertained.
So, my wife and I watched John Wick 3 this past weekend.
3.
Spoiler. This is the entertainment section.
Wait, does
there
that
could be
start?
spoilers for books or movies.
Does that start with him running away on a motorcycle?
He doesn't start on a motorcycle, but he does eventually on a motorcycle.
I have not seen that yet.
Okay, I won't tell you that. I won't do spoilers. No, I won't. We won't talk about
It is
I've seen 1 and 2.
excellence. I will say that.
it. So I'm definitely going to give into spoilers now. 1, the movie ends, spoiler, it ends with him, like,
Alive.
he's alive, but he, like, walks away with his dog.
Oh yeah, he gets a new dog.
He's in good shape.
He replaces
He's
Daisy.
Piece of shit.
But
the
he's
second
alive.
one ends, and he's, like,
He's
on the run.
excommunicated.
Yeah.
He's got like
And so that's where you ended?
From a thing.
he's got
We
like
won't talk
6
about that.
hours before
1 hour.
1 hour.
Yeah. So he has 1
1
hour before he's excommunicated.
Yeah.
Excommunicado.
Excommunicado.
Well, yeah. Kind of like an avocado.
Exactly
So,
like an
just
avocado.
keep going.
Except
Ignore
not.
it.
Okay.
Except not.
That's fine.
So that's
Yeah,
the
we
thing.
can talk about something else.
That's the thing that happened.
I don't want to spoil it.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
The second movie, honestly, it felt like it went into just like
It was just mayhem.
like the sequences were really cool and technical, but they went on really long, and so it was kind of like the complaints about what was it, The Revenge of the Sith, where they were like the fight just went on forever.
So this is my breakdown real quick.
Wow.
I don't remember if that's the movie where, but there was a movie where it was just like, oh, it was Superman, Man of Steel, where they're like the fight was like 40 minutes long, and it just felt so long.
So I thought the first one was the best.
I would agree.
The first one's good. I didn't like the second John Wick very much.
Mm-hmm.
Not to give any, I don't want to say anything about the third one. So, but the second one, I felt like it kind of strayed away from what made the first one good.
Yeah.
The third one felt more like the first one.
It felt like he didn't really have, like, it felt like his struggles were artificial.
You've seen the third one.
There were moments in the second one. There were moments, when, like, I don't know, the plot was
No, like whenever he
more
went into
paper thin than the
whenever,
first
like,
one.
he went into the club in the second one. I know he goes into one in the first one. The second one, it's a concert. He goes to the second one.
Yeah, the concert just felt contrived.
The concert to me felt like the club in the first one.
Well, the
It
thing
felt
is,
like I'm watching the same scene just in a different spot.
and also the guy was like, he was like, it's impossible, and then he does it really easily. It's like, well,
What's John Wick?
yes, but I mean, the point is, like, if you say something's impossible, and then you do it seemingly practically effortlessly, it kind of
You want to
it ruins the stakes for anybody. Now, obviously, yes, but John Wick's the one who said it's impossible. If the other person said, "Oh yeah, this is going to be really hard for you," I gotcha. That's covered.
He's boogeyman.
Well, sure, Baba Yaga.
Well, he was trying to get out of having to do it. He was trying to find something else that he could do for the dad.
Yeah, but I don't know. It felt like it was way
he's been
too
trying
easy.
He was out, and he's been trying to get back out for like the entire series.
Yeah. Tell you what, the plot in the first one. The first time I watched it, I was so I saw it again last night.
Oh, you watched the first one last night?
Yeah. Okay. The first time I watched it, I was so disgusted with the plot, with the motivation, because I was like, really, really. Now, last night I was slightly more empathetic, but it could have just been because I was sick and fried.
I don't think the plot's not about the plot.
Well, no, and it's really just an excuse for him to kill people.
Well, no, I think that's his snapping moment.
Well, yeah, and
okay.
There is. I liked the moment in the
like
church.
I'd rather bring this thing down and die than sit around.
Yeah, I liked the moment in the church better when he's yelling at the guy. I liked that moment better this time around than I did the first time, because the first time I was like, that's just so stupid. But there were a few moments in the fighting was pretty cool, but there were definitely a few moments where it's like, why did this happen? Like at the end when the guy's like, no bullets, no guns, just fight me. It's like, this doesn't seem in character.
Just shoot him in the face.
This doesn't seem in character for John Wick to just be
Why
like,
not
okay,
shoot him right in the face? Yeah.
But yeah, enjoyable movie, paper thin plot.
But it's all about the action.
Yeah.
That's also.
It was a cute dog.
Well, I mean, I think it's just
And they basically tried to tie it to his wife, and that was his.
Well, yeah, but I think the plot is good. It's just it's an action movie. It's not.
But you can have action movies that have decent plots. Like, for example, I felt like Equilibrium had a much better plot than this. Have you seen Equilibrium? With Christian Bale? No. Equilibrium operates on the premise that in the future, humanity as most of a whole has basically decided to deaden their emotions rather than go into destructive wars and stuff.
Okay.
But they operate under like a tyrannical regime with like a Gestapo type elite fighting force that enforces this. And so people are sense offenders if they don't deaden their emotions. And so those are like the terrorists that everybody hunts down, and like they like collect art and things because they like how it makes them feel. Like they look at it.
Okay.
They read poetry and stuff.
Emotion.
Yes, but sense offenders like they can't appreciate poetry or art or anything. It's just a gray, dull existence.
It's not as well known because it came out about the same time as The Matrix.
I mean,
Matrix.
And I will say the movie operates with the conceit that there's no emotion, but it's much better understood if you say it just deadens emotion a whole lot, because otherwise you have actors not acting.
Right.
Like if there's no, it's like, well, you're doing a good job of not showing emotion, but then sometimes you're trying to show a little emotion.
We can't have that.
And so it's better if you understand it as like it deadens emotion rather than there's no emotion.
It's about feeling too. They don't feel
right.
emotion.
Yeah. Or at least they don't feel it nearly to the extent. And like I said, the movie says they don't feel it at all, but clearly there's plenty of times when people are trying to at least emote a little bit, like a hint.
Well, because they're
real people.
Whatnot, yeah.
But that anyway, to me that plot, but all it is a big shoot 'em up, with action scenes.
In the Equilibrium.
Yeah,
okay.
And it's a pretty awesome movie.
But but the premise is different.
Yeah, the premise is different, but what I mean is the story. Like, to me, the story for that one was much more interesting and compelling than the John Wick one.
So, I would agree with you for John Wick 2. I thought the story in John Wick 1 was great. Some guy just doesn't want to be in the game anymore, and he's getting sucked back into it.
Sure.
And so he says, okay, I'm going to win the game.
It just felt like an unjust motivation, I guess.
I felt like in John Wick 2 and 3, though, we got more insight into
especially
they felt artificial to get him back in, but it did still.
3 expands on some stuff.
Yeah, I mean, there's still more to know, but it's still.
Yeah, there's definitely gonna be a 4th without question.
Oh, so he's still alive at the end of 3. Spoilers.
Not spoilers. There's just gonna be a 4th one.
His son carries his legacy.
No. I mean,
John Wick, the dog.
Yeah. but it expands on some stuff. It answers some questions and raises many more. So
it's also one of the best choreographed, but also one of the best arguments for having a stunt category of like awards.
So like spectacle.
They did some very interesting stuff. Just as far as like a cinematography, they did some cinematography, some fighting that was very unique. Stuff I hadn't seen before. And I've seen at least 30 movies in my life. Maybe more.
Have you guys seen Spider-Man Far From Home? I've not. I want to see it.
I don't.
It seems like it would be fun.
So
I don't usually see movies in theaters.
You probably should not incriminate yourself.
No, it's okay. I'm going to spark just a flood of comments. But I don't like superhero movies. I don't like superheroes.
Do you not like the ones that have come out, or do you not like
them just in
as
general.
a concept?
No.
Here's the question: do you like Iron Man? The first one.
He probably hasn't even seen it.
I haven't seen it.
Wait, really?
But I have no. It's not that I haven't. No, I haven't seen it. But I also have no interest in seeing it.
The only ones he watches are like the big ones.
So I watched the Avengers with my wife.
Did you watch any of the things leading up to that?
No.
So I feel like that would really hurt the experience.
It does.
Although, that being said, the pain of watching some of the previous Avengers movies might have been better avoided. So
there's only one that's somewhat painful.
So yeah, I miss some stuff of the story. But for me, I don't have the desire to watch them at all.
So I will say, the Avengers killed their series for me early on. Not the movie The Avengers, but just like some of their the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Some of their movies just killed my desire to see it. So I understand that, but I don't know. Did you see the Sam Raimi Spider-Man, like the first superhero movies with Spider-Man?
With
Tobey Maguire.
Yeah, I saw those.
Okay, so those were fun for me, even though they got kind of mishmashed and.
The
crazy.
first one was decent.
Yeah.
The other two were not.
Well, and it was
no,
but
the
it was
second
a whole
one
new
is
genre.
the best Spider-Man movie of all
What
time.
happens in the second one? Who's the villain?
Doc Ock.
Oh no, that was great.
Yeah, that was great. It's the third one where it goes.
Yeah, the third one.
Yeah, where he gets angsty.
Yeah.
The best part of the third one was the dance.
The
dance.
dance.
The dance.
Nobody remembers the villains because there were three of them, and the dance was better. The dance was the villain.
You touched it.
Well, it was caught up on the side.
The dance was
got about 3 minutes left.
But yeah, so my point is, I enjoyed Spider-Man, and so I was open to superhero movies, and Iron Man was fun. Like it was a fun movie. That was the thing. Like I wasn't like this is going to be an amazing movie necessarily, but it was fun and I liked it. And so then you had like a sliding scale of superhero movies.
He's not really a movie guy.
I'm not.
Now that's fair.
I don't watch a lot of movies. I did when I was young, but now.
But then you've also got like zero superhero movies like The Dark Knight. Did you see any
so
of those?
I liked those.
Okay.
I don't like Batman.
You don't like Batman as a character, but you like those movies.
I like those movies.
Okay,
Yeah.
well that's fair. Yeah, I mean Batman as a character is kind of weird a little, but that's okay. That and looks like that may be the last word. Batman as a character is a little weird. Discuss.
Closing thoughts.
Spider-Man 2. That Spider-Man movie.
And this is the Tobey Maguire one.
Yes.
Okay.
Spider-Man 2.
Even compared to the new ones? Have you seen
Yes.
I feel like
You
that's
think
a
you still
longer
did not listen?
conversation.
I've seen all the Spider-Man movies.
Yeah. Well, okay. So first of all, we're gonna go for another 30 minutes. But
Maybe we'll have to do another segment on Just Entertainment.
Yeah, maybe we'll start next time with this. But first of all, I have a hard time comparing the movies because it's been a while since I've seen the first.
Sit down and watch 8 hours of Spider-Man.
I remember
12
enjoying
hours,
the
right?
first ones. There are things that are good about that. The Spider-Man ones have kind of ranged in quality. I've liked some of the actors, but not liked how they portrayed Spider-Man.
You have to include the second best Spider-Man movie too, which is Spider-Verse.
Who was the Spider-Man there?
That's the animated
Well,
one.
see,
right? The one that
animated
came out
doesn't
recently.
count.
No,
I mean, relatively.
it definitely. You haven't even seen it.
I've never
It
seen
definitely
it.
No, I have heard that's the best one.
I've never
It is
seen.
excellent.
I've never
I haven't
seen
seen
the animated Spider-Man.
It rivals Spider-Man 2.
See, what he says about superhero movies, I say about animated movies.
Well, you haven't seen this one. And it's
I haven't.
A lot of people I know that don't watch animated movies have like Into the Spider-Verse.
Interesting.
Is that right? Into the Spider-Verse?
Yeah, that's what's
End of the Spider-Man.
End of the Spider-Verse.
No, it's Into the Spider-Verse.
Spider-Verse.
All right. I think,
All right.
speaking of ends, I think we're there.
I think we're there. Thank you all for watching. This has been Coffee Unfiltered. Let us know in the comments below what you think about space travel, SpaceX.
What's your favorite Spider-Man movie?
What's your favorite Spider-Man movie? See you next time on Coffee Unfiltered.